Hi, this is Mitch. You guys out there? Show me you're out there. If you're out there, hit a little bit of that love and that share for me so I can see you're out there if you've got a chance to do that. I'm going to be doing some Zoom recordings maybe 3 times this week or so, and then 2 times a week. And today's topic is negotiating with sellers. This is a good time to learn how to negotiate with sellers because you're going to have a lot of downtime. If you haven't already had enough, if you're done watching Netflix, and if you've stopped going to the refrigerator because you realize you're going to be 500 pounds if you keep doing that, let's involve ourselves in something. Let's learn how to negotiate. Let's learn how to improve our skill. I have a negotiating course. I want to give it away, a segment of it. It's how to negotiate with your sellers. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today. But you can go to 1000houses.com/gift. And Julie's going to be posting that in the thread here. 1000houses.com. That's 1000houses.com/gift. And check out the negotiating section. You'll have a chance to buy that negotiating section. It's 4 hours long. It's got a lot of good stuff. Any one nugget in that can make you a small fortune. And the cool thing is once you learn to use a nugget, you can use it over and over and over again and keep it in your tool belt. So I'm also going to be giving away a digital copy of my book, My Life in 1000 Houses, 200 ways to find bargain properties. And I put a lot of thought into this book. It's about 330 some odd pages, and it starts out with all the ways to buy or negotiate with your seller, and it also talks about how to find these houses, of course, in here, how to find your houses. And it starts out with people that have little to no budget, which most of the time, all my friends and we all started broke. We didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. I started out finding abandoned pieces of plastic or politicians' plastic signs. After the election, there's a bunch of them hanging around everywhere. They're supposed to take them down within 48 hours after the election, but they don't. And your city's cluttered with these signs. So I'm just taking them down, cutting them in pieces, flipping it over, cutting it in pieces, and writing on the back with a black marker, I buy houses for cash, or whatever the slogan, and putting those up all over the town. That's how I started, because I didn't even have enough money to buy plastic signs. When you don't have money, you trade time and expertise for the lack of money. And when you have money, you can pay people to do this. You can pay for signs. You can pay for stuff. When you don't have money, you got to spend time and your expertise. So we're going to help you on that expertise part. So let's talk about the blog that I'll be referring to. I'm going to be referring to a blog with Matt Larson. It was posted on 4/21/2020, so not too long ago, just recently. And he's talking about virtual wholesaling and how to buy houses from your computer in your living room, not necessarily in your area, in houses that you won't see personally or won't travel to, but you'll be able to create some income with your computer and a set of expertise and some knowledge, and spend your time and make some money out of nothing. You're really a professional contract writer, and then you're going to sell your contract. Thank you very much. Please keep hitting that share and that I love you if you appreciate this. That really helps us all out. And I'll be answering questions. So if you have a question, just write your question in. Julie is on the back side of this. You don't see her, but she's diligently working and taking the questions. She's going to chime in here and bump in and let me know if we have some interesting questions, and I'll answer them. All right, so negotiating with your sellers. The big thing is, what's your mindset today? If you're watching the news 24/7, you could be, I like to call it, mind screwing yourself that nothing's working out there. And nothing could be further from the truth, because things are working. I'm still buying houses. Matter of fact, I'm buying houses at incredible prices right now, a little bit better than I've seen in the regular days, because I suppose there are a certain amount of doomsdayers out there who think I better get while the getting's good, or I need to do this and it doesn't look like things are going to let up. I need to sell my property while it's still worth anything. And that's a doomsdayer's mindset. And unfortunately, it's out there. But fortunately for us, they're going to sell that house to somebody. So let's see if they'll sell that house to us. Now, there's also people in the market that are saying we're going to wait till things smooth and we don't need to sell right now. One of the things we're trying to negotiate with our sellers right now during the coronavirus is to longer times to close, 60 days, 90 days, because even we want to kind of see or get the relief of when is this going to let up? When is this pandemic going to let up? But in certain circumstances, we don't have, they don't have the time to give you 60 or 90 days. So you just have to readjust your price at a price if you want me to buy it right now. And we've been doing that, and a lot of people have been taking the right now price, which is $10,000 or $15,000 less than if they'll give us 90 days to close price. So please don't just think because everything on the news is doom and gloom that this business isn't working, because it is. Again, I'm still buying houses and selling houses. One of the great things about this pandemic, if we can try to find some silver linings in all this muck of mess we're in, is that a lot of the competition is dropping out. I mean, they're dropping out by the hordes. So prices on houses are coming down, and the competition is going away, and this is starting to get reminiscent of the recession. Of course, we're not there yet, but this is probably going to put us into a mild recession. And this is really good news for real estate investors. Banks will probably tighten up, if my guess is right. And then that's where it's all going to come into play. It's going to get easier to negotiate. So one of the things in the negotiating strategies, which is what I want to talk to you basically about and give you some hints on negotiating, is negotiating is more about listening than talking. Now, we have to talk to get the conversation moving or moving in the direction that we want to move it into. So it's very important to know what the right questions to ask. But I suggest that you really go into the negotiating process reminding yourself before you get in front of them, like as you turn off the key to your car, remind yourself, okay, this is the part where I need to listen even harder or more than I'm talking. But you're going to start out the conversations, and you want to be able to ask the right questions. There's two kinds of questions. There's questions gathering facts and data and just trying to get the numbers and get your handle around what do the mathematics look like. But then I really suggest that you ask a lot of non-business or personal questions. So there's business questions and there's personal questions. You always start out with the personal questions. Where are you from? How many people is in your family? How long have you lived here? A lot of things that don't have anything to do with the business. But the key is we have to get to know this potential seller. We have to start to get to know them, and we want to loosen them up. We want to be a human. We won't want to be a shark swimming out in the water looking for blood. We don't want to come across as that. We want to come across as, and this is also a good thing while you're sitting in your car right before you turn off the car keys to go talk to your seller, is get the mindset that you're going to try to help these people with whatever it is their situation is. You're going to help, and you're going to really think about their needs first. And let's get all their needs and their wants or their situation in hand and understand it. But don't come across as you're just looking for a profit for yourself, okay? Lots of personal questions. They can be almost anything. You look around the house, look at your environment. If they have children, ask them if they're in a soccer league, ask them if they play sports, ask them where they go to school, ask them if they're belong to any community churches around or whatever. Just start opening the conversation. Ask them about their job. What do they do for a living? How long have you been doing that? Be interested in what they're doing for a living. Ask them some questions about their job. You know, wow, that's an interesting job. How do they do that? Or, you know, so ask a lot of personal questions. It'll give you a lot of insight. I've had people tell me in personal questions that, you know, and one that comes to mind, like just now, I was asking them, you know, how is it they were able to save their down payment? They said, well, my partner had a slip and fall accident at the grocery store, and we're going to be getting some money. So they didn't even have the money. They were acting like they had this money they were going to win in this lawsuit. And I said, oh, really? And then they just volunteered. They started talking, volunteered that they had this slip and fall lawsuit against a major grocery store. And then they divulged to me that they had another slip and fall lawsuit, and she was expecting some money. So it said to me that these people were not of integrity, and I really didn't want to deal with them. And I was trying to sell them a house, but by asking this particular person, I was trying to sell them a house, but by asking non-business questions, you can learn a lot about a person. I like to know where the down payments are coming from. I also like to know, when I'm negotiating to buy a house, why are you selling? I'm trying to find the pain. We have to try to find the pain. And that's why we're asking a lot of questions, get them to open up, loosen up, see you as a friend, and then start trying to hone in on, why are you selling? And they don't always tell you the why first. They might say, well, we just need some cash. We have some things we want to do. Well, that's not good enough. Everyone sells because they want the cash, okay? But they may say they want to get out from under the payment, or they can't make the payments, or, you know, in 2 more months they're going to run dry. So we're trying to find out where their pain and where the real reason is. And once we get that, we can start to tailor our offer and start to talk in their language. I also want, while we're on the topic of speaking their language, I like to try to color code these people, or figure out what their personality type is. There's, generally on the surface, there's 4 types. There's red, yellow, blue, and green. And red is highly analytical, needs data, needs facts, needs numbers, needs papers, needs pictures. They want a lot of stuff. So if I'm talking to someone and they tell me they're an engineer, then automatically I'm leaning that they're in the red. These guys that like graphs, charts, numbers, spreadsheets, pictures, photos, data. So I start to speak to them in that language. If they could be yellow. Yellow means they live for today. They're not worried about the future. They don't care about reinvesting the money. They just want this BMW, and they want it now. They live for, immediate gratification. Now, fast. So if I talk to someone and I start to get the feeling that's there, then I start talking about, well, you can have that Beamer within the next X amount of days, and I'll give you enough to get the Beamer. How much do you need for the Beamer? Now we're starting to talk about the Beamer. You follow me? And what do they need for the Beamer? I mean, they're selling this house because they want a Beamer. Okay. Then now I start painting that picture of how they're going to get that Beamer. So again, trying to find their pain. This person's pain was they need a BMW so bad they can't stand it. That's their pain point. They can't live without a BMW any longer. Blue, touchy, feely, generous, giving. It's not all about them. There has to be a bigger reason for things. They're not just about the money. There's more important things than money. So I start to pick up someone's a blue. Who would be a blue? A minister at a church, maybe a teacher, maybe someone that works for a nonprofit. When I start to hear that that's where they work, I start to talk about all the good things they're doing. And then we maybe say to them, we start negotiating to buy their house for reasons other than their money and my money. We're talking about, that house that you own over there that's all dilapidated that we're talking about buying is really an eyesore, and it's difficult on those people that live next to them on the right and left, and it's difficult for those people across the street. And when we get this house, we're going to fix this house up beautifully. and it's going to be an asset to the neighborhood. And by the way, it's even going to drive the tax assessment up so that more schools, the schools will get more of the money so that that community can function better. Maybe the fire departments and everything will get some of that tax increase. Start talking about the higher, the bigger reason why they should sell this. And then there's greens. They're all about the money. Greens are about the money. They're thoughtful, they're but methodical, but they're about getting the maximum, and they're also thinking more about the future. So then we could be talking, when you recognize greens, you can start to talk to them about what do they need the money for. When we figure out what the money is for, maybe they don't need all the money in this free and clear house to get what they're trying to get. Again, for example, if they need a new car, then, and they have a $100,000 house, it's a good deal at $100,000 for you. It's a good deal, great deal. But they don't need $100,000 to buy the car, because when they told me they wanted a car, I asked them, what kind of car are you getting? I got interested. What kind of car are you getting? Well, I want to get a used whatever. And I said, what do those run about? You know, 15,000, 20,000, what? You know, they tell me, well, they want a really nice one. They want 25, you know, they plan on spending a maximum of 25,000. Okay, so I just got another piece of the puzzle. Well, you know, you don't owe anything on this house. How about I give you, you know, $25,000 up front so you can get that car thing solved? But wouldn't it be nice to have an income and I can pay you? And now I start to make a seller financed offer just because I recognize the opportunity and I recognize this green personality. So, again, it really helps to code. We have a podcast on color coding and this whole art of, like, within 3 or 4 minutes being able to code, you know, who is this person I'm talking to? Are they a red? Are they a yellow? Are they blue? Are they green? You wouldn't believe how this changes things. I once had a very, very, very blue family who had a daughter who had 8 children and wasn't apparently done yet, because I think she was pregnant still. And this family, and they didn't know who the father of, I mean, all these babies had different fathers. They was not coming from one man, not even 2 of them from the same person. Now, most families might have excommunicated that daughter or kicked them out or sent them on their way, but this family was very giving. They were very big in the church, and the church had given them a house that was big enough now for the family and these 8 children. They gave them a very big house, free. So they were moving out of the house that I wanted to buy, and it had been vacant for a year. And I'd been talking to them like every month, are you ready to sell now? And they never were. And I kept talking to them, like they were greens, like, I can give you this much money. Finally, immediately after doing the podcast with I think his name is Hartman, I hung up and my phone went off. And it reminded me that I had to call this person on this house again for the 8th month in a row. And it dawned on me, since I'd just done the interview with this guy on coding personalities, that I had been talking to this person in the wrong personality. This person was obviously a blue. They were at church. They were caring for these 8 kids. They were forgiving as all get out with their daughter, who had an issue with sleeping with men and getting pregnant. And so I started to talk to them about how, and this was true, I had a person that needed to live in that neighborhood, but they couldn't really afford that neighborhood, but they needed to live in that neighborhood because they lived clear across town. They had to bring their babies all the way over to their mother and father's house, their parents' house in this neighborhood. And then they had to go a different direction to work. But if they lived in this neighborhood, everything would be easy. The job wouldn't be very far away. They could go right, you know, down the block and drop the kids off in the morning and pick them up in the evening. And this would so much help that family, but they just can't pay this kind of thing. They also can't get a new loan. So I'm going to buy the house from you, and then I'm going to finance it to them, but I have to get a price that they can afford. So if you want to help these people, this is what I need to buy this house for. And you get it to me, and I'll get it to these people at a price that they can afford. And I'll make my money, and you'll sell your house, and you'll have been doing a great thing. I bought that house. I had contracts going over that house within an hour. and closed that house by the end of the day and was able to buy that house because I switched the way I was talking to them. I was not talking to them in their language. I was talking to this person in the green language when I was trying everything, but I hadn't talked to them in the blue language, which was the language of higher reason and for the good of the community and for the higher good. So that's my example there. So also in negotiating, remember, never give without getting. If someone asks you for something like a higher price, then you have to ask for something back. And the classic phrase is, if I can, i.e. do what you're asking, will you? If I can, will you? Someone asks you for something in negotiations, it's your opportunity to say, if I can do that, are you willing to? And you might say, I can give you a little higher price. Can you take a less down payment? Or if I give you the higher price, can you close immediately? I mean, you have to ask for something. If you just say yes to people's requests and don't ask for something back, you look easy, too easy, and then they think, well, I should ask him for more because he said yes too easy to me. So you always have to make the opponent earn whatever their request is. If I can do this, will you? I can give you that price. I can give you the market price. If you're stuck on the market price, I can give you the market price if you will let me give you X amount down and pay you out. So the negotiating course, again, at 1000houses.com/negotiate, it talks about 4 hours of these kind of tactics. And yes.
That link is 1000houses.com/sellers.
Okay. So I've been corrected. Thank you very much, Julie. It's 1000houses.com/sellers. And we're giving away a little segment of the 4-hour negotiating thing. Is that what we're doing, Julie?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. So we're giving away a little piece of the 4 hours of negotiating. And this is the part talking to sellers. So you can get a feel for it. What are we selling? What are we selling that piece for, Julie? $197. If we sell the whole, I'm sorry. What are we selling the whole 4-hour negotiating for? $197. Is that right?
Yes, $197.
Okay, so we're going to give you a taste of the negotiating segment, and I say segment. There's like 17 segments in the Creative Real Estate Investing course that I just revamped. I revamped my entire course to bring it into 2020. And I did it very uniquely. I spent $50,000 putting this course together because it is so robust. When we pick a topic, we go through that topic. It's me talking to you just like this on that topic specifically about how to accomplish whatever that topic is. But then I also have the blogs that I've done related to it, the paperwork that I've done right there in that segment, the apps that apply, some useful tools and resources that you might want to employ if you're going to really go after this topic. And so I have everything there, and it's evergreen. I'm able to go into my new course now, and if something becomes obsolete, like Craigslist went out and Facebook was now the rage, but I couldn't go back and take Craigslist out of my old course. So I redeveloped the whole course so it's evergreen. I can subtract and add whenever I want to. I can keep this course current. Your login will always log into the course, and if it's updated, there's new stuff in it. And you'll be sent text messages or emails when I've updated a section so that you know to go look at it. It's a it has 17 modules, and we're breaking those modules up into smaller bite-sized pieces because right now things are tight for people, and maybe you can't bite off the entire course, but you can buy one section that you really need to hone in on for only $197. So we're going to be doing that. So the podcast with Matt Larson was posted at 4/21. It's about how to do virtual investing. And if you decided to stop making those trips to the refrigerator and get out from under the next series of Netflix and want to accomplish something, maybe this is something you can do. Maybe you've been furloughed for 3 or 4 months on your job. Get into this podcast and take a listen to Matt Larson and see if he doesn't spark an enthusiasm for you to be able to make some money right from your home on your computer during this downtime that you have, and hone a new skill. You never know. This new skill maybe you'll get good enough at it and get passionate enough about it to replace your entire job. Because people I know that are doing virtual wholesaling, they don't do it part-time for long. They start doing it full-time because the potential is huge. The freedom is great. You can do virtual wholesaling. We're talking to some guys on some podcasts. They're doing it from RVs. They went to go see every national park in the United States. And in the meantime, they set aside some time per week to do some virtual wholesaling. And they saw all the national parks in the United States and didn't miss a lick on their income. And so please, again, is there any questions out there, Julie?
Actually, yes, Mitch, we had a question from John. Would you sell to the red, for example, engineers? Also, I wanted to let you know, I talked to Catherine on our team, and we are going to be selling the negotiating for $37.
Oh, so, okay. So is this the segment or the whole 4 hours?
It's a segment for the negotiating.
Okay. So we're selling the segment of negotiating where we're talking about negotiating with sellers. We're selling that for $37, and you just go to 1000houses.com/seller. Is that right? /seller?
Sellers, SELLERS.
Yeah, /sellers, SELLERS. For $37, get a fine piece of that 4 hours, specifically dealing with how to negotiate with sellers, and get the flow of what we're doing and see how it's working, and see for yourself if the content that I'm not giving you far exceeds what it costs you. If you're in this business already, you can't study negotiating enough, because it only takes one nugget to up your game to be worth tens of thousands of dollars, maybe even more than that. It might be the difference in getting a house and not getting a house, and maybe that house is worth $30,000 worth of profit. So you never can get enough negotiating practice. We even sent our guys to negotiating classes and contests when we were my acquisition people to really get them involved and know that it's an art and it's a science, and the more you study it, the more natural it becomes to you, and the better you get at it. And soon you start to recognize situations to use this phrase, or to go into this strategy, or make this offer. When they show the telltale sign of X, you move to Y, and it becomes pretty fun. It's just like a word puzzle or a Monopoly game, or it becomes a game, and it really is a game, but it's a serious game because it has to do with your income. So do we have the link to how do they get to Matt Larson's podcast interview? So they just go to reinvestorsummit.com?
Yes, they can go to reinvestorsummit.com, and it's the top interview that has recently been released.
Okay, so go to reinvestorsummit.com, and there's over 350 interviews, but the last one to be posted was Matt Larson on virtual wholesaling. And if that doesn't turn you on, there's 350 interviews there. Love for you to be part of it. Love for you to share it. Share the link if you will. Again, if you want to help this live interview and help me during these live interviews, make sure you hit your shares and make sure you hit your loves. And by all means, type in your question if you have one. Should you sell to an engineer? Well, I don't really care who I sell to. It wasn't a matter of if I sell to an engineer or not. It was the question is, how do I sell this? How do I sell to this person? I want to sell to anyone who has the money and or is willing and sees the value in what they're fixing to do. So learn to code these people. And when I get with an engineer, when I discover they're engineers, I gotta start talking to them in facts. Did you know that that if you buy this property, properties in this area have been appreciating X amount per year, and in 10 years, your equity will be this much based on these numbers. You know, they may vary. Talk to them about, you know, the difference in where you're living now. You're paying rent, you're paying $1,500. Well, this house is only $1,200 a month. You'll be saving $300 a month with this $3,600 a year, and in 10 years, that's $36,000. These are the kind of things an engineer wants to be. That's how you talk to an engineer. The mathematical, data-driven reasons why this is a good decision to you to buy or to sell. You know what I mean? So, is there any other questions, Julie?
Yes, sir. Another question just came in. What is the best book you'd recommend to learn the personality colors?
You know, can we research that? You know, I say the book. Now, when you start talking about color coding people or personality coding people, you can get way deep, because usually a person's a primary green, but they're a sub blue. And so there's usually there's two types of personalities you can get to pretty quick. There are always two, but I'm trying to find the major one. I'm talking to the major. You could spend an entire year learning how to code people and how to react to them, and it wouldn't hurt you at all if you did that. But to get started and to get a fast jump and to be able to start using things right now, I'm just talking about finding their primary personality type and learning how to speak in that language. I keep wanting to say this guy is it Bill Hartman, but I don't think that's right. His last name was Hartman. Can you look up a
Dr. Taylor Hartman.
Dr. Taylor Hartman. Dr. Taylor Hartman. You can find him on YouTube, and he talks a lot about the basics right there. Believe me, you may not want to get, where did I go? Here we go. There I am. I got, for some reason, a ton of phone calls coming in. You want to get a bunch of phone calls, just get on a Facebook Live, and then your phone, won't ring all day. And then when you get on Facebook Live, your phone will explode. Dr. Taylor Hartman, really nice guy, really knows his stuff. I think he has a lot of free information out there on YouTube, so check him out. I can't tell you how much that's helped my sales and my sales organization by making that. They even had some cards with the 4 personality types, a yellow card, and it talked about what the personality type was, and then you flipped over the card and it said how to talk in that language, the kinds of questions to ask, or the direction that you steer the conversation in. All right, so be sure you go to 1000houses.com/gift and get your free digital copy of my book. This is a $20 value. It's on Amazon at $19.95 or something like that. And people ask me sometimes, why is that book so expensive? It only takes one idea out of these 330 pages to make $10,000 or $20,000. Just one idea in here can generate the lead that gets you in a position to profit hugely. So I didn't want to give those books away. And quite frankly, if you're not really serious about this industry and you're not really serious about doing this, then I just assume you kind of sit on the sideline, find something you're passionate about. If you're passionate about buying houses, I don't know how this book hurts you, and I couldn't imagine it not being an asset for you. It starts out with things you can do at a zero budget where you're spending time. And let's face it, there is no such thing really as a zero budget, because you got to put gas in your car and you got to breathe air, and to breathe air, you got to eat food consistently. So there's no such thing as zero, but you get what I'm saying. A minimal way to generate a lead to buy a house. And then it starts to progress into when you have a little bit more of a budget, and you can add this module, and you can get a virtual assistant, and you can do X and Y. Also, Matt Larson talks a lot about virtual assistants, how he's getting them to do most of the legwork, and he just does the important stuff like close the deal, because that's perfect for people that are in this part-time. If you're in this, you can only do it part-time because you have a JOB, then hopefully you have an income good enough to give yourself a little bit of a budget. And maybe one of the first things you do is you pick up a VA overseas. I prefer the Philippines. And I have a big segment in my course on how to hire and systematize out all the different facets of the business. You can go to 1000houses.com, click on coaching and mentoring tab and see all that. You can also go to 1000houses.com and click on the free stuff tab. I give away a lot of free stuff. Today, I'm giving away this book right here, a digital copy of this book, a $20 value. Go to 1000houses.com/gift and get your digital copy. Go to 1000houses.com/sellers and get a little segment of the 4-hour negotiating segment of my much larger course. So we're $37, man. I don't think you can beat it. Please share this with your friends. I'm going to be doing this on a weekly basis, at least 2 times a week, at least. And the more people we have and the more following, the better questions we'll get. And the more excited I'll get about it. And I want to keep me excited because I want to keep doing this for y'all. Did I miss anything, Julie?
No, sir, that was everything.
All right, this is Mitch Stephen. Be sure to check out the Real Estate Investor Summit, or you can go to reinvestorsummit.com, reinvestorsummit.com, and see over 350 interviews. And I will see you later on in these weeks. I'll be 2 times a week. I appreciate everybody. Before I hang up here, any more questions I need to answer?
There is no other questions.
All right, you guys get your questions together. Let's make it fun. I'm here. I'm a free resource for you right now. And 2 days a week, I'm going to be a free resource for you. So please check it out. If you guys find that you need a little more help or you're way more serious, I have a weekly coaching call. That's every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. You can see that at 1000houses.com under the coaching mentoring tag. And also there's one-on-one opportunities. I only take about 10 people a year. Give you my phone number and we talk whenever you want to talk, as often as you want to talk, and I'll help lay out the homework for you and find out where you're at and what the next logical step. We'll agree on it, and then we'll just map out what you need to do for the next 10 days. And you got my phone number. Calling me directly if you get stuck or you run into something you don't know or you just need to regroup. Then here I am. I'm your cheerleader, I'm your advisor, and I'm your expert who's been doing this for 22 years. I have bought a house about every 4 to 5 days for over 2 decades. That and $7 will get you a cup of coffee at Starbucks, but I'm just telling you. I know there's people that have done more, but I know there's a whole bunch of you out there that would like to just get to the level that I'm at. So you do it one step at a time. And by the way, you don't need to buy 100 houses a year to make a terrific living in this business. I mean, I know people making terrific living buying 3 or 4 houses a year. You just increase your expectations and decrease your volume and focus your advertising tight to the kinds of deals where you only have to make 3 or 4 and you've accomplished what you want to accomplish that year as far as income goes. So this is Mitch Stephen with the Real Estate Investor Summit podcast. Thank you so much for being on the Facebook Live. I appreciate each and every one of you, and get your free digital copy of this book. I don't think you can go wrong. All right, I'm out of here.